The night was quiet at first. The city lights glimmered in the distance, and the soft wind blew across the highway where Ethan Williams, a 30-year-old billionaire, drove home alone after a long business meeting. His thoughts were calm. His company had just secured a new international deal, one that would have made his late father proud. To the world, Ethan had everything: wealth, power, and a good name. But behind the glittering walls of his mansion, darkness was quietly preparing to strike. That evening, Ethan had dinner with his stepmother, Miranda, a woman known for her charm and elegance, and for the coldness that hid behind her smile. The table was beautifully set, and the scent of red wine filled the air. "You've been working too hard, Ethan," Miranda said with a soft, deceptive smile. "Your father would have been proud of you." Ethan smiled faintly. "That's all I want, Miranda. To make him proud, to build something that helps people. I just signed off on a new charity branch in his name." Miranda stirred her glass of wine, her eyes gleaming faintly. "You and your good heart," she murmured. "Always saving the world." She paused, her tone turning slightly cold. "Just be careful, Ethan. Sometimes being too good makes a man predictable." Ethan laughed lightly, not realizing the weight behind her words. "What's that supposed to mean?" Miranda simply smiled, taking a slow sip from her glass. "Nothing, dear. Just don't trust everyone who smiles at you." Her voice was soft, but her heart was full of poison. Later that night, as rain began to fall, Miranda slipped out of the mansion. Her driver took her to an old warehouse on the edge of town. Two men were waiting, rough, silent, and dangerous. "You're late," one of them growled. Miranda adjusted her coat, her diamond earrings catching the dim light. "I came to make sure you understand what you're being paid for." The taller man frowned. "We understand, but he's your own family." Miranda's eyes turned cold. "Step-family, there's a difference." The men exchanged glances. "How do you want it done?" one asked. "Make it clean," she said calmly. "No witnesses, no traces. I want him gone before the week ends." When she turned to leave, lightning flashed, and for a moment, her reflection in the wet glass looked like the devil herself. 2 nights later, Ethan left his office late. The rain fell harder this time, tapping against his windshield as he drove down the empty road. He hummed softly to the radio, unaware that danger was just behind him. Suddenly, bright headlights appeared in his rear mirror. A van was following him, too close, too fast. His phone rang. The screen read, "Unknown number." He picked it up. "Hello," a distorted voice replied, cold and calm. "Goodbye, Mr. Williams." Before Ethan could respond, the van slammed into his car from the side. His tires screeched. The car spun wildly, crashed into a ditch, and smoke began to rise. He tried to crawl out, coughing, blood dripping from his temple. 2 masked men rushed toward him. "Who are you?" he shouted weakly. "What do you want?" One of them raised a gun. "Orders are orders." A loud gunshot echoed through the rain. Ethan fell to the ground, blood spreading through his shirt. The men dragged him to the roadside and left him there, motionless, as thunder rolled across the sky. The van disappeared into the darkness. At dawn, the rain had stopped. A soft mist hovered over the road as birds began to sing faintly. Dr. Amelia Reed, a young medical doctor, was driving home from her night shift at the hospital. Her eyes were tired, but her heart was kind and full of life. She lived with her parents and 3 sisters, 2 of whom envied her deeply. As she drove through the quiet road, something caught her eye, a shadow on the ground. Her heart skipped. She slowed down, then saw a man lying motionless near the roadside. "Oh my God," she gasped, jumping out of her car. Amelia ran toward him, kneeling beside his body. Blood had dried around the wound near his shoulder. His breathing was faint, but there. She quickly tore off her jacket, pressing it on his wound to stop the bleeding, her hands trembling but steady. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please, whoever you are, stay with me." She called emergency services, but she didn't wait for them to arrive. She used her medical training to stabilize him, talking to him softly as if her voice alone could keep him alive. Minutes later, sirens approached. Paramedics rushed in and lifted him onto a stretcher. Amelia stood back, her heart pounding, watching as they drove away. She didn't even know his name, but something in her heart told her this man's story was far from over. Later that day, Amelia went to the hospital to check on him. He lay unconscious, connected to several machines, his face pale and bruised. She stood by his bed, silently praying. The nurse came in quietly. "Dr. Reed, You've been here all day. You should go home and rest. Amelia shook her head, her eyes still fixed on him. He'll wake up, she said softly. I can feel it. The nurse smiled gently, then left. Amelia sat down beside him and whispered, You're going to make it. You didn't survive that night for nothing. Outside, the rain began again, softly tapping the window. And as Amelia closed her eyes for a moment, Ethan's fingers twitched faintly, a small sign of life returning. The hospital room was quiet, except for the soft beeping of the heart monitor. A golden morning light streamed through the curtains, brushing against Ethan's pale face. He had been unconscious for almost a month, and every day, Dr. Amelia Reed had come to check on him. She didn't know why she felt drawn to him. Maybe it was the way his face looked peaceful despite his pain, or maybe it was the feeling that fate had tied her to him somehow. It was a Sunday morning when it happened. Amelia stood beside his bed, changing the IV line. As she turned away to grab the medical chart, a faint voice whispered behind her. Where am I? She froze. The clipboard in her hand almost slipped. She turned around sharply, his eyes were open. Amelia's heart skipped. You're awake, she breathed, rushing to his side. Ethan blinked, confused. Who are you? I'm Dr. Amelia Reed, she said gently. You were found unconscious on the roadside. You've been here for a month. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his shoulder. He winced and lay back down. What happened to me? She hesitated. You were attacked. You lost a lot of blood. We don't know who did it, or why. Ethan's brows furrowed as he stared blankly at the ceiling. Attacked? His voice trembled. I can't remember anything. My name, my family. He pressed his temples with both hands, frustration building. Amelia placed a hand on his arm. It's okay. You're safe now. Sometimes trauma causes temporary memory loss. It'll come back gradually. He looked at her, her calm eyes, her gentle voice. Something about her steadied his soul. Thank you, he whispered. For saving me. Amelia smiled faintly. You're welcome. You're very lucky to be alive. Days turned into a week. Ethan's recovery was slow. He could walk short distances, but his mind remained blank. The doctors said his amnesia might take months to heal. Amelia spent more time with him than she should have. She'd bring him breakfast, talk with him about simple things, even sit in silence while he stared out the hospital window, lost in thought. But then the hospital administrator came one afternoon with bad news. Dr. Reed, he said apologetically, the man's bills have piled up. We don't have an ID, no family contact, no one's claimed him. We can't keep him indefinitely. Amelia's heart sank. He doesn't even remember who he is. You can't just discharge him. The administrator sighed. You know the policy. He needs to be moved somewhere else, or someone has to take responsibility for him. That night, Amelia sat by his bed, torn between logic and compassion. He watched her quietly, noticing the worry on her face. You look troubled, he said softly. Is it about me? She nodded. You don't have a home to go back to, and the hospital can't keep you any longer. He smiled sadly. So, what happens now? Amelia took a deep breath, her heart heavy but sure. You can come home with me. Just until you recover, until your memory comes back. He stared at her, shocked. You'd really do that? For a stranger? She gave a small smile. I don't think you're a stranger anymore. A few days later, Amelia brought him home. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Reed, welcomed him kindly, though surprised. But not everyone was happy. Her two sisters, Clara and Diana, stood in the living room with crossed arms and scornful faces. Clara sneered. So this is the man you brought home from the roadside? Diana laughed mockingly. He looks broke. Are we running a charity now? Amelia ignored them. He has no one. He's recovering. Be kind. Her youngest sister, Lily, smiled warmly at Ethan. Hi, don't mind them. I'm Lily. Welcome to our home. Ethan nodded politely, feeling out of place. Thank you for letting me stay. Mrs. Reed placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. You're safe here, son. Think of this as your family for now. That night, as Amelia showed Ethan his small guest room, her sisters whispered loudly from the hallway. I can't believe she brought a strange man here, Clara hissed. Always playing the saint. Diana chuckled cruelly. Just wait, he'll probably bring her trouble. Maybe he's a criminal. Ethan overheard their voices. His heart ached, but he said nothing. When Amelia came back to check on him, he forced a smile. You really don't have to do all this for me. She looked at him gently. You'd have done the same. He didn't answer. Deep down, he wasn't sure he would have. But he knew this woman was unlike anyone he'd met before, though he couldn't remember anyone at all. Days passed. Ethan began to recover, helping around the house, fixing things, cleaning the garden. Despite her sister's hostility, Amelia's parents grew fond of him. Every evening, Amelia would come home tired from the hospital, and Ethan would wait with a cup of tea for her. They'd sit outside under the old mango tree, talking about life, laughter, and hope. He didn't know his past, but with her, he started to feel peace. And though Amelia didn't say it, she too felt something she couldn't explain, a strange comfort whenever he smiled at her. One night, as the moonlight streamed through the window, Amelia walked past his room and saw him asleep. The scars on his face were fading, but something about him, his aura, his quiet strength, felt mysterious, like a story unfinished. She whispered softly, "Who are you, really?" Inside his dream, Ethan saw flashes of his past, a gun, 2 men, and a woman's voice whispering, "Make it look like an accident." He woke up breathless, sweating, his heart pounding. The memories were beginning to stir. Morning sunlight filtered softly through the white curtains of the Reed family home. Birds chirped outside, and the scent of breakfast filled the air. It should have been a peaceful morning, but under the surface, quiet storms were already brewing. It had been 2 weeks since Amelia brought Ethan home. Each morning, he'd wake early to help around the house, sweeping the porch, watering the flowers, or fixing the squeaky gate that had bothered Mrs. Reed for years. The Reeds were beginning to adore him. Her father often said, "That young man is humble and hard-working." Whoever he was before, life must have tested him well. Her mother nodded, smiling. Amelia did the right thing bringing him here. But not everyone agreed. Clara and Diana, Amelia's older sisters, sat at the breakfast table, watching Ethan silently as he carried plates from the kitchen. "He acts like he owns the place," Clara muttered under her breath. Diana smirked. "Just give him time. He'll show his true colors." When Amelia entered the kitchen, both sisters switched to fake smiles. "Good morning," Amelia said warmly, pretending not to notice the tension. "Morning, St. Doctor," Clara replied, her tone sharp. Diana added with a laugh, "Your patient's making himself quite comfortable." Amelia sighed quietly. "He's trying his best to help. You could at least be kind." "Kind?" Clara scoffed. "You brought a stranger home without knowing who he is. For all we know, he could be dangerous." Amelia looked at her firmly. "If I didn't trust my instincts, he'd be dead right now." Ethan, overhearing the last part, froze for a moment. Something about her words touched a place deep inside his heart, a place that had forgotten what love and kindness felt like. That afternoon, Amelia came home tired from the hospital. The sun was setting, painting the sky in golden orange. She found Ethan in the garden, fixing a broken flower stand. He looked up and smiled faintly. "You're home early today. I needed some fresh air," she said, sitting on a bench. "It's been a long day." He wiped his hands on a cloth and sat a few feet away. "You work too hard." "I love what I do," she said softly. "Helping people reminds me that life still has meaning, even when it's painful." Ethan nodded slowly. "You saved me. You gave me life when mine was already gone. I don't think I could ever repay that." She smiled, her voice gentle. "You don't have to repay kindness. Just life." There was silence for a while. The sound of crickets filled the air. Ethan turned to her suddenly. "Do you think it's possible to feel connected to someone even when you don't know who you are?" Amelia met his eyes, deep, sincere, searching. "Yes," she whispered. "Sometimes, the heart remembers what the mind forgets." Later that night, Clara and Diana were in their room, gossiping in low voices. "I don't like the way she looks at him," Diana said bitterly. "Since when does Amelia bring strange men home? She barely smiles at anyone." Clara folded her arms. "She thinks she's perfect, the smart one, the doctor, the favorite daughter. Now she's playing angel with this man. I'll make sure that ends soon." "What do you mean?" Clara grinned wickedly. "I'll make him feel unwanted. I'll make him wish he never stepped into this house." At dinner, Clara made her move. The family gathered around the table, the air thick with unspoken tension. Ethan helped serve food, but when he passed Clara a bowl of soup, she suddenly hissed, "Be careful. You almost spilled it on me." He stepped back, startled. I'm sorry." Diana rolled her eyes. "So clumsy. Maybe next time he'll serve us poison instead of soup." Mrs. Reed frowned. "Diana, enough." But Clara smirked. "No, Mother, let him answer. What if we don't even know who he is?" What if he's lying about losing his memory? Ethan froze, his face pale. He didn't know what to say. Amelia slammed her spoon down. That's enough, Clara, she said sharply. He's been nothing but kind to everyone here. If you can't be grateful, at least be decent. The table went silent. Everyone stared at her. The calm, gentle Amelia, now speaking with a fire no one had seen before. Ethan looked at her quietly, a mix of gratitude and admiration in his eyes. For the first time, he felt protected. That night, Ethan stood outside on the porch, staring up at the stars. The air was cool, and the crickets sang softly. Amelia came out, her hair falling loosely over her shoulders. Couldn't sleep? She asked. He shook his head. I keep wondering, why did you help me? You didn't even know me. Amelia smiled faintly. Because I believe that people cross our paths for a reason. Maybe saving you was part of mine. He looked at her, the moonlight catching her face. And what if I never remember who I am? She held his gaze. Then start over, create a new life. Sometimes forgetting is a blessing. Ethan looked down, his heart heavy yet calm. You talk like someone who's been broken before. Amelia's smile faded slightly. Maybe I have. He didn't ask more, but something about her voice, soft, fragile, and strong at once, made him want to protect her, even if he couldn't protect himself. Inside the house, Clara watched them from behind the curtain, her eyes burning with jealousy. She's falling for him, she muttered. And he's falling for her. Diana smirked. Then we'll make sure it doesn't last. Outside, Ethan and Amelia stood silently, their shadows touching in the silver moonlight. Neither of them said another word. But in that silence, something unspoken began, something stronger than memory, deeper than time. It had been almost 3 months since Amelia brought Ethan into the Reed family home. Life seemed to be settling into a quiet rhythm, at least on the surface. But peace never lasts when the past is still alive. The night was cold. A distant thunder rolled across the sky as rain began to pour softly over the roof. Ethan tossed and turned in his bed, his breath uneven. In his dream, he saw flashes, headlights in the dark, a gun raised, 2 men shouting, the sting of a bullet tearing through his chest, and a woman's voice screaming his name. He woke up drenched in sweat, gasping for air. His heart pounded so hard he could barely breathe. Who am I? He whispered into the darkness. He pressed his hand against his temple as if trying to force the memories to come back, but they slipped away like smoke. Down the hall, Amelia heard the noise. She quietly entered his room, her white robe flowing like a whisper. Ethan, she said softly. Are you okay? He looked up, shaken. I saw something. It felt real, like I've been here before, not this house, but somewhere dangerous. Amelia sat beside him. Your memory is trying to come back. Don't fight it. He turned toward her, his voice trembling. What if I don't like what I remember? She looked at him gently. Then we'll face it together. Their eyes met, and for a brief moment, the storm outside was nothing compared to the one stirring between them. The next day, Ethan went to the city market with Mr. Reed to help buy groceries. As he walked through the crowd, something caught his attention, a man in a black jacket standing near a corner, watching him closely. Ethan froze. The man's face seemed familiar. A flash, a gun, a van, a struggle. Ethan's hands started to shake. Ethan, Mr. Reed called, noticing his pale face. Are you all right? Ethan blinked. The man was gone. The street was normal again. I just felt dizzy, he muttered. But in his heart, he knew what he saw wasn't just imagination. That evening, Clara and Diana were at it again. They were sitting in the living room when Amelia and Ethan returned. Clara crossed her legs, smirking. So, the charity case went shopping too. Amelia frowned. Clara, enough. No, let her talk, Ethan said quietly, his tone calm but firm. If she wants to insult me, at least be brave enough to say it to my face. The room went silent. Even Diana looked shocked. Clara scoffed. Fine, you don't belong here. You're not family. You're just some homeless man Amelia took pity on. The only reason you're here is because she feels lonely. Ethan's jaw tightened, but before he could reply, Amelia stood up, her voice sharp. You have no right to talk to him that way. You've never liked me, Clara, but don't use him to feed your jealousy. Mrs. Reed came out of the kitchen, her face stern. Enough of this nonsense. Clara, Diana, apologize to your sister and to Ethan. But they both stormed off, slamming the door behind them. Later that night, Amelia sat in the garden, her hands folded, tears threatening to fall. Ethan found her there, sitting under the old mango tree. "Hey," he said softly. "You shouldn't let them get to you." She smiled faintly. "They've always hated me. I used to think maybe if I just loved him enough, it would change. But some hearts don't want healing." Ethan sat beside her. "You know, you saved me. But sometimes I wonder if maybe I was sent here to save you too." She turned to look at him, surprised. "Save me?" He nodded slowly. "From pain, from being alone, from forgetting how special you are." Amelia's eyes softened. "Ethan, you don't even know who you are. How can you say things like that?" He looked into her eyes. "Maybe I don't remember my name, but I know how I feel when I'm with you." For a moment, neither of them breathed. It wasn't a confession. It wasn't a promise. It was something quieter, like two souls recognizing each other in silence. The flashback returns. That same night, Ethan dreamed again, this time more vivid. He was tied up in the back of a van. Two men arguing. One of them said, "She said it has to be done tonight before he signs the papers." Then a voice, calm, cold, feminine, "Make sure no one ever finds him." Ethan's eyes snapped open. There was a woman behind all of this. He sat up, his pulse racing. His memory was coming back piece by piece, and it terrified him. The next morning, Amelia noticed Ethan sitting outside, staring blankly at the sunrise. "Did you sleep?" she asked. He shook his head slowly. I remember something. A woman, she wanted me dead." Amelia's heart stopped for a second. "A woman?" He nodded. "Yes, but I can't see her face yet." Amelia knelt in front of him. "Ethan, until you're sure, please don't tell anyone. Not even my family. We don't know who might be listening." Ethan looked at her, confused but trusting. "You believe me, always," she said softly. "And I'll protect you, just like the night I found you." He smiled faintly, though his eyes were dark with fear. "You're the only person I trust." As the camera fades out, we see Clara standing by the doorframe, overhearing everything, her face twisted with curiosity and spite. The morning sun rose quietly over the Reed home, but peace no longer lived there. Ethan's memories were returning, slowly, painfully, and dangerously. And somewhere deep inside him, he knew, someone wanted him dead. Ethan sat alone on the porch, his eyes lost in the horizon. His thoughts were tangled, flashes of faces, gunshots, a woman's perfume, her red lipstick, and her voice saying, "He'll never take what's mine." He pressed his hands to his temples, whispering, "Who are you?" From behind, Amelia appeared quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Morning," she said softly. "You were gone before sunrise." He forced a small smile. "Couldn't sleep. I keep seeing her face, but it fades when I try to focus." Amelia handed him a cup. "Memories come in pieces. Don't rush it. Sometimes the mind protects us from what we're not ready to face." He looked at her, the calm in her eyes steadied his shaking soul. "And what if the truth destroys me?" She smiled faintly. "Then we'll rebuild you." Inside the house, Clara watched them through the window, her jealousy burning deeper every day. "Look at her," she hissed to Diana. "She walks around like she owns him." Diana sighed. "Clara, maybe you should just let it go. He's clearly in love with her." Clara turned sharply. "No, he's just confused. She saved his life, that's all. When he remembers who he truly is, he'll realize she's beneath him." Her words were sharp, bitter, and full of venom. "Don't forget," Clara added darkly, "I overheard him say a woman wanted him dead. Maybe if I find out who she is, I'll know who he really is too." Diana frowned. "Clara, don't get involved. This isn't your business." Clara smirked. "It is now." Later that week, Ethan helped Amelia's father repair the roof. While cleaning the attic, he stumbled upon an old box filled with random things. Inside, he found a small silver pendant with the initials EW engraved on it. His breath caught. EW, he didn't know what it meant, but something deep in his chest tightened, like his heart recognized it before his mind did. He pocketed it quietly, unaware that Clara was watching from behind the door. That night, Clara sneaked into his room, searching through his things. When she found the pendant, she smiled wickedly. "So you do have secrets," she whispered. It was raining heavily that night. Thunder roared as lightning split the sky. The whole family gathered in the living room when the lights went out. Mrs. Reed lit a candle. Amelia sat near Ethan, who seemed lost in thought. The thunder made him flinch, and for a brief second, he saw it again, the night of the attack. Rain, screams, 2 men dragging him out of a car. A woman standing in the shadows, holding an umbrella. End it, she said coldly. Then, a gunshot. He stood up suddenly, breathing heavily. Ethan, Amelia asked, alarmed. He turned to her, his eyes filled with fear. I saw her again. The woman. I think she's someone close to me. Someone I trusted. Do you remember her face? He shook his head slowly. Not yet. But her voice, it felt like family. Amelia's heart ached. She touched his arm gently. Then we'll find out together. I promise. He looked at her, the candlelight reflecting in his eyes. Why are you so kind to me, Amelia? She smiled softly. Because the world has enough people who destroy others. Someone has to choose to heal. Their eyes lingered, the air thick with emotion and something unsaid. The next morning, Clara went into town secretly. She had followed a clue, the engraved initials EW at a small internet cafe. She paid someone to help her search. After an hour of digging, a headline popped up on the screen: Billionaire Ethan Williams, missing for over 6 months after mysterious attack. Clara's heart skipped. She clicked the article and gasped as she saw his photo. Ethan Williams, the man Amelia brought home, wasn't just a stranger. He was a billionaire. Her shock quickly turned into greed. So that's who you are, she whispered. No wonder she's protecting you. She saved the article on her phone, a dangerous smile curling on her lips. This changes everything. That evening, Clara returned home and acted normal, but her eyes never left Ethan. She now knew his truth, and she planned to use it. Meanwhile, Ethan and Amelia were in the garden again, sitting under the soft glow of the moonlight. He held the pendant in his hand. Amelia, if something happens, promise me you'll stay safe. She looked at him, concerned. Why would something happen? Because I think whoever tried to kill me might realize I'm still alive. Amelia reached out, placing her hand over his. Then we'll be ready. Their fingers brushed, their eyes locked, and for a moment, the world went still. Inside the house, Clara stood by the window, recording him quietly, and sending the photo to an unknown number. Seconds later, a reply came through: unknown. Good. Keep him there. I'll take care of the rest. Clara's lips curved into a cold smile. Let the game begin. The air in the Reed household had changed. The laughter had quieted. The walls, once filled with warmth, now seemed to whisper secrets no one wanted to hear. Because Clara knew the truth, and someone dangerous now knew where Ethan Williams was hiding. It was just after sunrise when Clara received another message. Unknown. You did well. Keep him close. I'll reach you soon. Her hands trembled slightly as she read it. Who are you? She typed back. No reply. She deleted the conversation, her pulse racing. She told herself she wasn't doing anything wrong, she was just protecting her family. But deep down, she knew greed had already taken over her heart. Ethan's memories began to unravel. Meanwhile, Ethan sat quietly in Amelia's office. She had invited him to the small clinic where she worked, hoping a peaceful environment might help his recovery. As he sat in the waiting area, flipping through a magazine, he saw an article: the late business tycoon, Henry Williams, leaves fortune to his only son, Ethan Williams. The room began to spin. His head throbbed. Flashes of memory exploded like lightning behind his eyes. He saw himself in a grand mansion, a woman in diamonds smiling coldly beside him. His stepmother, her hand resting on his shoulder, the same voice that ordered his death echoing in his mind. Make sure no one ever finds him alive. He stood up abruptly, clutching his chest. Amelia rushed in from the next room. Ethan, what's wrong? He stared at her, his breathing uneven. I remember her face. My stepmother, she wanted me dead. Amelia froze. Your stepmother? Yes, he whispered, trembling. She wanted the money. My father had changed his will before he died. Everything was mine, not hers. Amelia's heart broke seeing him like that, the quiet, gentle man she had come to love, now realizing the full weight of betrayal. She hugged him, holding him as he whispered, she left me to die. That evening, the Reeds were gathered in the living room. Rain poured outside again, the kind of storm that feels like a warning. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Clara rushed to open it before anyone else could. A tall man in a dark coat stood there, raindrops dripping from his hat. His expression was sharp, unreadable. Good evening, he said smoothly. I'm looking for Amelia Reed. I'm an investigator. Amelia stepped forward cautiously. I'm Dr. Reed. What's this about? I've been searching for a missing person, a man named Ethan Williams. The whole room went still. Ethan froze, his eyes wide. Before he could speak, Clara cut in quickly. Ethan Williams, you mean the billionaire? That's strange, he disappeared months ago. The man nodded, his gaze landing on Ethan. Yes, and I believe he might be closer than you think. For a long second, the room was silent. Then the man smiled faintly. May I come in? Amelia hesitated, her instincts uneasy. Of course. Please. The man introduced himself as Mr. Harlow. He said he was hired to trace the billionaire's disappearance. But as he spoke, something about him didn't feel right. His eyes lingered too long, his tone too calm. Amelia noticed Ethan's unease and gently placed her hand on his knee under the table, a silent reassurance. Mr. Harlow looked around the house, pretending to admire the place, but his eyes were searching, scanning corners, photos, doors. Then his gaze landed on Ethan. You look familiar, he said quietly. Have we met before? Ethan's pulse raced. I don't think so. Harlow smiled thinly. Maybe not. A moment later, his phone buzzed. He checked the message, from the stepmother. He's alive. Bring him home. Dead or alive. Harlow's lips twitched slightly. It's late. I should go, he said politely, standing. But don't worry, I'll be back soon. When he left, Amelia locked the door immediately. Ethan, that man isn't an investigator. He's working for her. Ethan nodded slowly. I know. That night, Clara sat on her bed, trembling. She hadn't expected things to go this far. The unknown contact, it was her stepmother all along. Her phone buzzed again. Stepmother, you did well. Keep him there. Tomorrow, it ends. Clara's hands shook. She threw her phone across the room, breathing hard. What have I done? She whispered. For the first time, she felt fear, not for herself, but for the man she had betrayed and the sister she had always envied. Downstairs, Ethan sat in the living room, staring at the fire. Amelia came quietly and sat beside him. Neither spoke for a while. The silence was heavy, yet strangely comforting. Amelia, he said finally, his voice low, you saved my life once. But now I might be putting yours in danger. She looked at him softly. Then we face it together. He turned to her, eyes filled with emotion. You've done more for me than anyone ever has. Even without my past, I know. I've found my future in you. Amelia blinked back tears. Ethan, he took her hand gently. When this is over, when the truth is out, I'll tell you everything. All of it, she nodded. And I'll be here, no matter what you remember. Their hands stayed entwined as the firelight flickered across their faces. Outside, lightning flashed, and a black car stopped quietly near the gate. Inside it, Mr. Harlow made a call. He's here. I'll finish it tomorrow night. In her room, Clara couldn't sleep. She went to the window and saw the car parked near the gate. Her heart raced. She whispered to herself, if I don't stop this, they'll both die because of me. A single tear rolled down her cheek. And for the first time, Clara knew, redemption would come with a price. The wind howled through the trees that night. Dark clouds gathered over the Reed family home, and the storm that had been whispering in the distance finally came roaring down. It wasn't just rain coming, it was judgment. Dinner had been unusually quiet. Amelia sat beside Ethan, her mind distracted by the strange car she'd seen parked near the gate that morning. Her mother tried to start small talk, but no one had much to say. Clara barely touched her food. Her eyes kept darting toward Ethan, and every time she looked, guilt twisted deeper into her chest. Finally, Amelia broke the silence. Dad, have you noticed that car outside? It's been there all day. Mr. Reed frowned. I saw it. Probably someone from town taking shelter from the rain. Ethan's fork froze midair. No, he said quietly. He's not from town. He's here for me. Amelia turned to him sharply. You're sure? Ethan nodded slowly. It's the same man from yesterday, the one who called himself an investigator. Clara dropped her spoon, her hands shaking. Everyone turned to her. Clara? Her mother asked. Are you all right? She forced a weak smile. Why yes, I just lost my appetite. But inside, panic clawed at her. They'll die because of me. Later that night, thunder cracked and the power went out again. The family gathered in the living room with candles. Amelia noticed Clara pacing near the window. Clara, what's wrong? She asked gently. Clara's voice trembled. Amelia, if someone wanted to hurt him, what would you do? Ethan looked at her, suspicious. Why are you asking that? Clara's eyes filled with tears. Because I think I made a mistake. Clara, Amelia said softly, stepping closer, what did you do? I didn't know. She cried. I thought I was just helping someone find him. I didn't know they wanted to kill him again." Ethan stood abruptly. "What are you talking about?" Clara broke down. "His stepmother, she found me. She contacted me. I told her where you were. I didn't mean to. I swear I didn't know." Amelia froze, her face pale. "Clara," but before anyone could respond, a loud crash came from outside. Headlights flared through the window. They were here. Mr. Reed ran to lock the doors. "Everyone stay inside," he shouted. But it was too late. 3 men in black masks broke through the front door, lightning flashing behind them. "Grab him," one of them yelled. Ethan stepped in front of Amelia, shielding her. "Leave them out of this." Amelia's father tried to fight one off, but was thrown to the floor. "Don't hurt them," Clara screamed, rushing forward. "It's me you spoke to. I told you where he was. Please don't hurt my family." The leader, Mr. Harlow, smirked under his mask. "Orders are orders, sweetheart. The lady wants him gone, for good this time." He raised his gun toward Ethan. "No," Amelia screamed, lunging forward. The shot fired, but Clara pushed Ethan aside just in time. The bullet grazed her shoulder. She fell, blood soaking her sleeve. Amelia screamed her sister's name and crawled to her. "Clara, no, no, no. Stay with me." Harlow cursed. "Grab him and go." Ethan picked up a broken piece of furniture and swung it hard, hitting one of the men. The gun clattered to the floor. Lightning flashed again, chaos, shouting, rain pounding the roof. Finally, the sound of police sirens wailed in the distance. The men panicked and fled, disappearing into the storm. Minutes later, police cars flooded the area. Clara was rushed to the hospital, weak but alive. Ethan gave his statement quietly, still trembling from the fight. In the hospital hallway, Amelia leaned against the wall, tears streaming down her face. Ethan walked up beside her. "Is she going to be all right?" Amelia nodded faintly. "The bullet missed anything vital. She'll recover." She looked at him, her eyes filled with exhaustion and relief. "You could have died." He smiled weakly. "You saved me again." She shook her head. "No, Clara did." There was silence. Then Ethan said softly, "Amelia, I remember everything now. The money, my stepmother, the betrayal. All of it." Her heart stopped. "And now," he looked at her, deeply, tenderly. "Now I'm not running anymore." Days later, Ethan met with the police. They tracked the call that coordinated the attack. It led straight to his stepmother's private residence. Ethan decided to face her himself. He arrived with 2 officers beside him. When she saw him standing at her doorstep, alive, her face turned pale. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice shaking. "It's over," he said coldly. "You tried to kill me. Twice." She laughed bitterly. "You were never supposed to live. You took everything from me." Ethan stepped closer. "No, I took nothing. You destroyed yourself. With greed." The officers handcuffed her as she screamed, "You'll regret this. You should have stayed dead." Ethan turned away, tears burning his eyes. "I already did, but not anymore." Weeks passed. Clara recovered, though guilt haunted her. One evening, she walked into Amelia's room, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," she whispered. Amelia smiled softly. "Then earn it. Be better. That's all I ask." Clara nodded, breaking into tears as her sister hugged her. Outside the house, Ethan stood near the garden, the same place Amelia had first found him repairing flowers. She walked up beside him. "So," she said softly, "what happens now, Mr. Billionaire?" He smiled gently. "Now, I rebuild my life, but I can't imagine it without the woman who saved me." Amelia's heart fluttered. "Are you sure about that?" He nodded. "Absolutely. Because love brought me back, not money." He took her hands, eyes full of warmth. "Amelia Reed, will you give me the honor of starting over with you? Not as the man I was, but as the man you made me become." She smiled through tears. "Yes, Ethan, always." They kissed softly as the wind rustled through the garden, the same place where pain began, and love was reborn. Morning sunlight spilled softly through the hospital window. Clara sat up slowly in bed, her arm bandaged but healing. The world felt quieter now, not because the noise was gone, but because the chaos inside her had finally stilled. Amelia walked in carrying breakfast, her warm smile lighting up the room. Clara lowered her gaze. "You shouldn't be this nice to me." Amelia sat beside her and brushed her sister's hair gently. "I told you before, forgiveness isn't about what you deserve. It's about peace." Tears slipped down Clara's cheeks. "I was so jealous of you, your heart, your kindness." And yet, you're the one who saved me. Amelia smiled softly. Then maybe now, you'll finally start loving yourself too. The two sisters hugged, the first real hug they'd shared in years. A few weeks later, Ethan stood outside the Reed family house. It felt strange to be back, but this time, he wasn't a lost man with no name. He was Ethan Cole, the billionaire son who had risen from betrayal and found love where he least expected it. He had returned with a heart that finally understood what mattered. Mr. Reed shook his hand. You'll always be welcome here, son. Mrs. Reed smiled proudly. You're part of this family now. Ethan's eyes searched for Amelia. She appeared from the doorway, wearing a soft white dress, her hair blowing gently in the morning breeze. He walked toward her, unable to hide the emotion in his eyes. You look beautiful, he whispered. She laughed shyly. I always look beautiful when I'm near peace. They took a walk down the old garden path, the same one where Amelia had first found him lying near death months ago. The flowers had bloomed again, bright and full, as if the earth itself wanted to start over. Ethan stopped and turned to face her. There's something I need to say, he began. When I lost my memory, I also lost my pride, my arrogance, my titles, and somehow, I found you, the one person who saw me when I was nothing. He took a small velvet box from his pocket and opened it. Inside was a simple, elegant ring. I don't need to remember my past to know my future, he said softly. Because it's you. Amelia covered her mouth in shock, tears welling in her eyes. Ethan. He went down on one knee. Amelia Reed, the woman who saved my life, my heart, and my soul. Will you marry me? Her voice trembled. Yes, yes, I will. He stood, slipping the ring on her finger. As they embraced, the wind carried the scent of new rain, the kind that washes everything clean. Months later, the small church in their town glowed with warmth and laughter. Clara and her other two sisters helped decorate the hall, for once, working together without envy or pride. Amelia's father walked her down the aisle, tears shining in his eyes. You've made us all proud, my daughter. Ethan stood at the altar, waiting, his eyes never leaving her. As the music swelled and Amelia reached him, time seemed to stop. They exchanged vows not of perfection, but of truth. Ethan, I once had everything, and it meant nothing. But when I lost it all, you showed me what love truly is. Amelia, I once believed healing meant saving others. But loving you taught me, sometimes, it means letting someone save you too. When they kissed, everyone rose to their feet, clapping and cheering. After the ceremony, Clara approached Ethan and Amelia together. Her eyes were red but hopeful. I don't deserve your forgiveness, she said softly. But I'll spend the rest of my life proving I've changed. Ethan smiled kindly. You already have, Clara. You stood between me and death, that's more than forgiveness could ever ask. Amelia hugged her sister tightly. No more hate, she whispered. Only love. For the first time, Clara smiled, a real one, free of bitterness. Months later, Amelia and Ethan sat on the balcony of their new home overlooking the sunrise. He wrapped his arm around her as the light poured in. Strange, she said softly. You were born into everything, yet you had to lose it all to find what was real. He nodded, smiling. And you were born to heal others, but you ended up healing me. They watched the sky together, orange, gold, and alive, a symbol of everything they'd overcome. Ethan took her hand and whispered, whatever life brings next, we face it together. Amelia leaned her head on his shoulder. Together, always.